Hey guys, I'm going to walk you through the process of finding the greatest common factor of two monomials. And the first thing that we need to do, and I'll go into more detail in a second, is to completely factor the two different monomials that we have here. So I'm going to start with this 18. I know that the 18 would be factored with a 2 times 9. And I noticed that I can break up that 9 a little bit more, right? I can break it up to 3 times 3. So I'm going to pull that 9 out. So now, oops, be careful. Make sure you don't do what I just did and accidentally grab the wrong box there, guys. Okay, so I'm going to grab this 9 and pull it out. So then I'm left with just the 2 times 3 times 3. The x squared is easy to factor because it's just an x times an x. And then I've got an a and then a b squared, which means I've got 2 b's. Again, we are operating under the assumption that we know what we're really doing with all these individual factors is multiplying them together. I'm just not going through the hassle of putting multiplication in between all of them. So I've completely factored 18x squared ab squared. So now I'm going to completely factor the 12. So I'm going to do, let's see, I'm going to start off with 2 times 6. That 6 can be factored a little bit more, right? Now I know you're thinking, I don't have another 2 or another 3. Well, that's okay. I can click on the 2, hit edit, copy, edit, paste. There's me another 2. And I can click on the 3 and hit edit, copy, edit, paste. And now I've got a 3. So I'm going to pull out that 6. Be careful to not do what I just did. I'm going to drag this box a little bit up so it's kind of out of my way. There we go. If that happens to you, remember you can drag this box around a little bit so that it's like kind of out of the way. So I'm going to remove the 6 and just make way for the 2 and the 3. Then to factor the rest of it, I need 1x, 1y, because that's all I got at each. And a squared, which means I'm going to need 2 a's. Ran out of a's, no biggie. And hit edit, copy, edit, paste. So now I have completely factored both monomials. So you might remember from 6th grade, or I hope this will be ringing a bell once I tell you, that greatest common factor, short for GCF, greatest, of course, means biggest. Common is something that they have in common. And then, of course, the factor is what we're breaking these monomials into the little pieces. So what we need to do is find everything that they have in common. So I'm going to actually take them and I'm going to pull it out. What you might do in real life is you might circle the individual pieces or something like that. Okay, but I am going to literally drag down. They both have a 2. So I'm going to pull that out. Both of them have a 3. They each have an X. And they each have an A. So, in order to find the greatest common factor, that means the greatest factor that they both share, this is what they both had in common. They had a 2, they had a 3, they had an X, they had an A. So if I recombine those together to make them into one factor, 2 times 3 is 6. And then they both have an X. And they both have an A. Let me copy this because I kind of ran out again. So the greatest common factor that these two monomials share is a 6, an A, and an X. So the greatest common factor is 6, A, and X. So again, the way I got that, I factored both of them, broke them down into their smaller factors. I pulled out what they had in common, and then I took what they had in common and made it back into a monomial. So because they both had a 2 and a 3, that means their greatest common factor is a 6. because we're looking for greatest, which means we need to multiply those factors back together again. They both had an x and they both had an a. So their overall greatest common factor is a 6ax.